She just brings that light that I can't bring.
He kind of makes me more logical and more motivated. You're listening to Opposites Attract with J&T. Stay tuned for...
It's like I was smoking a blunt with two hoes. Going to clubs, going to strip clubs.
All I can think about is Logan Paul.
Today is the day where we start our third episode of the new series, The High School Experience.
And today is the day we talk about sophomore year. Wow, I don't even have words to talk about it because it's so, confusing. Just even in my mind, I barely remember the year. So we were really struggling to figure out what we wanted to talk about for this episode.
Yeah, we kind of missed the good old rambling days. Because I don't know if you noticed, we kind of had it structured. But since it's such an awkward time in our lives, then it's going to be a little bit more of an awkward episode.
Yeah. We were both talking about, do we remember what our sophomore years were like? And we were like, not really. We both were in it was kind of like freshman year, but part two. And I was like, that's the best way to put it, I feel like, because when I think of sophomore year, it kind of merges with every other year because it was not really a standout.
Yeah.
At least for me, it wasn't a standout. Do you remember anything from sophomore year being that big?
All I remember was trying to be cool. Being almost late to class just by walking in and the bell rings behind you while you walk in through the thresholds of the door.
So cool.
I kind of wish that we were starting college our second year so we can kind of get a better feel for it, almost to help resonate with high school sophomore experience with.
We'll start next year or next week.
Yeah.
So
that sucks.
It really does. I'm stressed.
But I think the biggest memory of high school sophomore year was the whole, not really the coming age experience or whatever it is. Actually, that's what we learned a lot about.
What?
Coming of age.
Was that one of our themes in our English class?
Well, yeah, that was a theme, a motif. What was that one book with the red hat?
The red hat?
Yeah.
Scarlet Letter is the only thing I could think of.
Well, that's just a red. That has
that's
just a red motif.
Yeah, that's deep. You're right. Tale of Two Cities.
Well, anyway, it was just such an awkward time, and you really did not know. I mean, after you tried fitting in, then you still kind of don't know because people are kind of being filtered through your friend group or where you're sitting at lunch or the people who you sit by in your classrooms and who you like and who you guys hate. It kept changing, and it just didn't feel solidified just yet.
Yeah, that's the word I was exactly going to use, was solidified. Nothing was really solidified in sophomore year. It was kind of still it's up I guess the best way I could say it is it was up in the air still. We were still we were in that in between. Freshman year we were still kind of babies. You're that was the year where everybody was getting used to high school and getting used to classes and getting used to the whole experience of what high school's all about. And then sophomore year comes around and then you're okay, I've done this already, but I still don't feel I'm fully I'm not an upperclassman, but I don't feel like a lowerclassman because I'm not a lower. I mean,
you still can call people freshmen.
You can still call people freshmen, but you can't call yourself an upperclassman. So you're kind of in this weird bubble of I don't know where I'm at. I don't know what's going on. I was literally yesterday, I was looking at pictures of my sophomore year, and I was I barely remember any of this because it was.
Yikes.
Well, I mean, I remember the moments of the pictures, obviously, but as a whole, there was not a lot going on. For me, anyway, it was just kind of. I mean, I'm sure there was the typical drama, and if you missed yesterday's episode, we talked all about drama, but it was and how intense it was. It lasted throughout all 4 years, but I don't remember anything being significant in my sophomore year. It was mostly freshman, junior, and senior year that really stuck out to me in my mind.
But. Yeah, it's that awkward time in anyone's life, or just the whole the middle child kind of effect.
Yeah, sophomore year, the middle child.
Yeah, You really weren't of importance there, but you really weren't the lower class, just the freshmen were, which I never understood why. There's always a hazing kind of thing in any hierarchy, in college or fraternities. There's always that, the fresh meat kind of thing, and that was the only thing that felt good about sophomore year, because you weren't you were finally not hazed and you were finally able to say the derogatory term freshman.
You felt cooler than you were when you were freshman.
Yeah, like that's the first thing I remember. Like I looked at a freshman, I called him a freshman. I was like, oh yeah.
Oh, freshman.
That felt good. or whatever the feeling was. And like the whole, like, you know, you get to like move get to move to the other side, you know, you're not in the freshman aisles. You know how we did in the gym for our cons?
We had like cons or like assemblies, I guess, if you don't know what cons are. Where you at the end of the year you would move up. It's called the move up con, which was like you literally moved spots from where the freshmen, sophomores you'd move up, and then the seniors would sit in the middle and do their whole senior thing.
Yeah, they would watch their senior pictures or the pictures taken of them. Yeah, I mean, sophomore year, I think the only thing, like I said, calling freshmen, and I think you had just less friends.
Maybe you.
Well, yeah, there's more and more people just being filtered out. Like, yeah, this person's crazy. Yeah, this person does too much drugs. Yeah. I think that's where it's going. And you start kind of realizing this stuff is real. Like, life is real.
It's not really like a game anymore. Freshman year was a lot more like, kind of like it was like freshman year was kind of a branch off of what middle school was like. Middle school was so like weird. And then freshman year was kind of like in that transition period between middle school to high school. But then sophomore year is like transition from being a kid, a real kid, into kind of being a little more grown up. And that's used very lightly because sophomores and juniors and seniors, like, we're still kids. You're not like adults at all. But I just mean like that transition between middle school child to like more teenager, like, you know, you're getting your bearings a little bit more.
You're starting to get hit with life. Well, kissed with life or flicked with life.
Yeah. Flicked with life. And you know what I was thinking actually is sophomore year reminds me kind of the period that I went through of like transitioning to college kind of. Well, I guess kind of right now actually maybe not college, just my life right now is kind of like sophomore year. I feel like it's very like transitional period of time where it's kind of awkward and we're not really sure where we're going and we're not really sure where we were. It was just kind of like this, I'm like, we're waiting for something to happen, but we're also still living and we're still in it. And that's how it feels.
Right.
And I don't think you really understand it until you go through it, except for now life is really real, really, really real. And
I would say it's a more forgetful moment in your life because it's that transition, that transitional stage, and you really got to see who were going to be the ones. Like, that was one thing. Like, in freshman year, like, you could still be that one emo person, but then sophomore year, you can transition, or if it's from middle school to high school, whatever it was. If you were, the way that you were in, like, sophomore year was generally your outcome.
Yeah, I think, it's kind of where you started to really develop, like, your character in school and, like, with your friends and stuff. I remember, like, I met one of my best friends to this day in sophomore year, and, like, I made, like, I'm going to shout out my friends, Brooklyn and Michaela. We became really good friends in sophomore year, and that we've been friends since then. And that's like kind of, so like there's really good things that happened to me in sophomore year. Like that happened. I didn't date anybody sophomore year. Like I was a free bird. I was just doing whatever I wanted. You know, I was still
going to clubs, going to strip clubs, going to other type of clubs.
I take it you've been to many clubs, babe.
I've been to none.
We missed our chance in Cabo. A loss. It's okay. But yeah, so there's still good things that happened. But it was definitely, like, not great.
I was just about to say, spit it out, bitch. But I totally messed up my opportunity because you did spit it out. Actually, what I was referring not to the people, but I always kept an eye out on other people. Mm-hmm. I know you are this way now. You kind of like study people and look at them and whatnot, and see who has like a weird thing with their wife or who's like cheating on their wife. Just you can tell the whole deduction kind of thing. I'm practicing, so get ready. I already know one of the viewers. Just kidding. I don't. But what I mean is, like, you can start seeing people to, like, fall off in this group and, you know, identify themselves with this. Mm-hmm. And by looking at them, you're like, yeah, this guy's going to end up in jail. This guy's going to end up in, like, working at McDonald's and this and that. And I think that's what I spent not a lot of time, but how do I say it? I kind of started paying attention to that stuff a little bit more, and you would really see who were the winners, especially because the people we had running start. So if you had good enough grades, you were able to go on and do high school courses inside of the university.
Oh yeah.
And you weren't really doing high school based courses. It was still college level, but it was like a freshman experience. What do they call it? First year experience in the universities, and you would get credits at the universities and at the high school.
And at high school.
So you could.
A great program.
Yeah, and I really wish I did it, but I was just, trying to teach my high school was trying to teach a goldfish how to climb a tree.
Amen to that. If you know that reference, please, you just, I don't know, be happy that you know that reference because it's a good one. But
and if you don't, you're stupid. Just kidding. It was Albert Einstein's quote.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I feel like it was kind of like the social thing was still like the same. Like the drama was still kind of still in that kind of same level, but it was getting a little bit more serious, I think, towards the end of sophomore year. Like, I don't remember anything specifically, but I do remember that, like, sophomore year was a lot like freshman year with the drama, but then once you get towards the junior, senior year, it completely morphed. And we'll get into that in a couple episodes from now, but just prepare yourself for that. But sophomore year was, like, it was a very huge transition for that, too. And I kind of feel like when I think of sophomore year, I literally feel like it's like a blank in my life because it's like it kind of morphed into every other year. Do you feel that way, babe?
I just hated high school in general. So I look back into my life, I'm like, wow, 4 years, I have nothing to show for it.
Why do you say that?
Because you have nothing. What skills did you learn in high school?
I learned how to work hard and do my homework and be smart.
Wow. That sounds like it'll help you in college a lot.
Well, it'll help me in my career. I have to have skills to learn. I have to be able to learn the skills to apply them.
Okay, before I go on to a rant, how college will not help you find the job that you're actually looking for, which is a very common theme. Let's go back to the sophomore year.
Yeah.
I think my parents, people just start treating you differently because they kind of start realizing that you are like a bigger baby, a taller baby, and that's what helped me look at life a little bit different, in a different lens. I started to realize that video games don't matter, and going out and what was the common theme that people did? Maybe party. That wasn't really like. I was going to ask you that. Did people kind of like become sluts at that time? Did people like have start?
I'm going to touch on, I think sophomore year, there was a select few that started to like have sex and like do drugs and start partying and start doing that kind of stuff. And like, I was such a baby in sophomore year and freshman year to like all of that stuff. So like sophomore year, like there was only a few people that did that kind of thing that you can like, and then you'll hear about it, in the gossip and you're like,
early
oh my gosh.
bird gets the worm.
What worm exactly are we talking about?
The 40% worm.
40%.
The one that knocks you on your butt, like vodka,
Vodka.
Just continue with your story.
But girls started having sex with their boyfriends. It's usually the ones that had the boyfriends that would start, doing that whole thing, and then the really like outgoing people would start like going to parties, and then. Yeah, that's kind of where it all started, like kind of transitioning to more of a serious thing versus like petty drama. That was like kind of middle school, early high school, But yeah, that's
my experiences. I remember like walking up. Remember the long set of stairs, like kind of on the side of the gym, right? Like where the entry, like the front. Okay, yeah. I remember walking up that, and I was just thinking about like because there was like people in front of me that. Because you walk up those stairs and it's like so long, you could always hear a conversation, or you could like generally get the word. What are they talking about? I think they were talking about weed. I was like, man, these people are such bums, and like they're never gonna get anywhere in life, and like I can't imagine myself like smoking. And I ended up smoking like from like junior year to senior year to freshman year of college. But like, I got some really bad like paranoia from that. I'm like, yeah, no way I can smoke anymore.
Yeah.
I only mention that just so people don't think this is like a hard time stoner. But
It's not.
but like it was still a time. Yeah, you weren't solidified. Just like going back to earlier what we were talking about, it was such an awkward time in high school because you still didn't have your friends. You still weren't. There was like still time to get on top or to fall on the bottom. You really had to secure your place.
I remember too. I just remember this actually was. Sophomore year, I went through a period of like being really depressed because I don't remember why exactly, but I just remember being like super down. Like I'm not sure if it was. I think it was a lot just because like I felt kind of stuck in my life, and I think it was because like when you're in sophomore year, you're in such a weird period where it's like you're not moving. You're not moving, but you're not moving either. It's weird. It's awkward is the best word to describe it, and I know that you probably are like take a shot every time we say awkward, but
it was like take a shot every time we say
I know,
like.
but now it's awkward.
No, it's still like
We're saying awkward a lot.
You still say like more.
I know I say like. I'm sorry. I'm trying not to. But yeah, I went through that period of weird feeling just kind of like lonely, and I think that might be maybe because of like I was maybe my friend drama, maybe just how I, just weird. I remember too, one of my friends and I had a falling out in sophomore year and we didn't talk to each other for a while. And I do remember some of my friend
group.
In
detail.
I will go in detail. Some of my friends went into this other group of friends, like, this was the time period when like everybody was being very experimental with who they involved themselves with. Like, remember there was like a certain group of people that like that were like the vapors and did drugs kind of, and were like just like the partiers.
Did people vape at that time?
I don't know. Maybe they didn't, but I guess that's the way I could categorize the vapors. I guess is how I picture them. I guess I don't know. Weird group of people. I guess, but I mean, to each his own. But I remember my friend group who was like the preppy girls, the quote unquote popular group, if you will. I hate that term.
You probably felt like such a badass for being in that group.
No, I didn't. That's the thing.
Time.
That's the thing is that I never felt like I was like popular because it wasn't like that. It didn't feel like that.
Because you didn't spread that gossip.
I guess not, but I don't know.
You have to be mean to be lean.
A lean, mean killing machine. Anyways.
I wish I didn't say that.
There's friends of mine that went into other groups and like experimented with different people, and then sometimes they would come back and be like, I don't know what the heck just happened there. And sometimes they would stay in that group for a while, or maybe they would have multiple friends in other groups. And like for the most part, I mean, it was just very experimental, I feel like. And that was fine.
Do you have any idea of how high school was? And then, like, say in like 2002?
Do you think it was similar or different?
That's what I'm trying to say.
I think it was different.
Do you think people were still being shoved in lockers?
Do you think anybody was ever shoved in a locker? Have you ever actually heard of that actually happening to somebody?
Yeah, I see it in the movies all the time.
It's a movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's fact. Come on.
Of course.
We were taught that in sophomore year, remember? Thanks, high school.
When were we taught that?
I don't know. I'm sure it was with the whole useless bullshit you'll never use in your entire life unit and all of your 6 periods.
Yeah.
For me, I was really like kind of. Now I think about it, I'm pretty sure I did buy a little vape pen.
In sophomore year?
Yeah, and I bought this little dank flavor, some gummy bear flavor. I got ripped off because he opened the bottle and used some. What a piece of. Anyway, I don't care. I think. Yeah, I vaped that little cig. I didn't make fun of people. Like, I didn't make fun of people, but I did look at people and kind of like guess their future. And we're like, yeah, you're gonna your friends are gonna betray you, and then
you were always good at that though. You always had that intuition about you.
And then like this is the man whore, and this is the second man whore. Then there was that one guy who like gets drunk, like pretty blacked out drunk, but like and then like slashes three girls.
Slashes.
I don't want to say sex. He sexed with them. I don't know how to say those words.
Slammed them.
So innocent.
Yeah, I don't like that.
I had an intuition. I was trying to train myself because I've always been like a people's person, and like I was always just fascinated with people and how they operate and how they tick and like why do people look at me and then hear my name and then kind of go away from that? But why is the guy on the football team this guy who has bucktooth teeth and he drinks his vodka? Like how does he get his dick wet? Dang, I said dick.
You've already said some other cuss words in this episode.
Yeah, we're trying to do like a non-explicit episodes.
It's not working out very well.
So hard.
Super hard.
We should review ourselves and how we act in life.
Maybe so.
Yeah, it's maybe because we were putting on a show and we need to sound cool.
We are cool. No, we're not. It's fine.
Shout out to our opposite attractors out there.
The more you say the opposite attractors,
it sounds good, right?
I like it.
Yeah, me too.
Like, let us know if you guys like that because I like it, and we're gonna keep calling you guys that unless you come up with a better name.
They'll like it once when we put out the merch.
Merch,
which I don't want to do
ever. No merch.
No, what I've always wanted to do, and I kind of learned this philosophy. I'm only saying that because I learned this philosophy in sophomore year, and it's like, don't actually. This is before the whole YouTuber. It was about the same time when the whole YouTubers are coming out with merch. Like, you know, every YouTuber, no matter how many subs they have, they're like,
merch.
Buy my merch. And I was like, this is like such a stupid concept considering your merch is the same quality. It's the same. It's gonna last the same. When you go put it in the washer, it's gonna last this many wash. I've always wanted to create something that I would use myself. Mm-hmm. So if we do ever come out with merch, it's gonna be just for me or you, maybe both. We can do like
yeah, we should have like a guys and girls kind of merch thing.
No, not unisex.
You want unisex?
No, not unisex.
That's why I said a guy and girls kind of thing. So I meant it like something for guys and something for girls.
Yeah, I mean, like if you guys didn't notice, we are accidentally twinning.
We are accidentally twinning. Shout out to our YouTube watchers,
and we're gonna wear the same thing in the next episode, not because we're wearing the same thing, but because we
are pre-recording all of these for you guys. So
no, it's because we have 2 separate outfits of these.
Oh,
so we could wear them 2 days in a row.
Yes,
and not have to wash them.
We are so inconspicuous.
Yes.
Also, whenever you say merch, all I can think about is Logan Paul in that frickin' how does it go? Buy my merch. How does it go? You know the song, the Logan Paul song? Oh, God. That's stuck in my head, but I don't know how it goes.
Anyway, since it's really awkward for Taylor to talk about sophomore year.
It's not. That's all I can think about. I can't stand Logan Paul.
You're the one who's screaming at me for not being...
I wasn't screaming. I was raising my voice a little.
It's fine. I mean, what do you think that people experience on a sophomore time? Like, what do you think a coming of age looks like? What is that process?
I think what we said was the process of coming of age because I'm experiencing that same thing again now in my life again, and I can tell you that this is the most like transitional time of my life, and I can feel it. And, like, that's kind of how I felt in sophomore year, except on a lower scale. So I guess when I think about the high schoolers out there that are in sophomore year, shout out to you guys. Because, like, I know it's hard. Out. It's hard. It's hard to go through because it's weird. And that's all I can say.
Listen, this is my advice. If you're a sophomore right now, take this to heart, too.
Oh, okay.
Don't even think about the disclaimers I had in the other episode about our advice. This is good. Just drop out. That's what I want to say. Anyway,
don't drop out because then your life is ruined.
No, I just wanted to finish it with that. Drop out. Don't listen to Taylor because all she has is an education.
What do you have then, huh?
I have an education, which we'll be talking about in our next episode, so stay tuned for tomorrow, the education episode.
Thanks, guys, for listening to this.
I want just quickly.
Oh, okay, we're backtracking.
No. Sophomore for me, I want to just summarize to all those old timers listening and thinking about what maybe you guys have kids. I don't know, but this is what they'll go through. Your child will change based by the things, by timing. Number one, so the things that they're learning and experiencing at the time, those are going to be their new interests. Those are going to be the things that they're curious about. Like, I don't know, like a good scenario, but I mean, like those kind of weird classes where you kind of learn about something random in the subject. I can't really give a great example in it, but I mean, let's say I was in my AP history class. We had to do this research project and like this whole field that you kind of wanted to learn about, and I chose medical marijuana versus opiates, and I kind of like got into like the whole medical marijuana, not medical marijuana, but more of the marijuana scene, because my parents, you know, like I said, I'm still talking about you parents. You can brainwash your child all you want about how terrible weed it is, but once when they figure out, once when the timing gets right, and they start learning about something, and then the third catalyst is their friends. Like, once when they get those friends, and once that friend was like, what'd you do that weekend? And then your boring kid says, I was just jerking off. And then the cool friend's like, I was smoking a blunt with 2 hoes. He's like, you know what? I was learning in class that you can't die from weed. And all your kid's going to be a big-time pot smoker. So look out for that.
Life lesson. Your child is going to be a big-time pot smoker.
Seriously, I think the biggest thing was just being exposed early. Like, if my parents were straight up to me and no bullshit and said, if you smoke weed, Satan is going to enter through your anus, and then all of a sudden you're going to die. Like, they didn't say that, but that's what it felt like. You're at this age, at this time, because that's when the first time I smoked weed was at the end of sophomore year, and I only got into it in the middle junior year. They're just going to be like, you know what? They are going to be changing as people, just as we did. We changed who we are. I mean, like it happened like in like a split second. I'm sure you had like this weird like the world is ending moment, and then it kind of didn't, and then you just had this new identity. I think I agree with that. In this time of, since it's so awkward and you don't like what's around you and you don't like to hear what's around you or see, you kind of just you just get out of your cocoon and you become a little bit more like you become more blunt. You start saying no more or whatever it is. And to the younger viewers, the ones that are in sophomore year, like that's another reason I'm saying it. You gotta understand yourself, and you can't let your friends really
dictate your life.
Yeah, like, I mean, sure, that's fine if you like were in math class and they had like a really cool subject and you found out about planets, and like you can like hear me out, and then like you can like determine the distance of a planet based on the radius of a planet, and then the radius of our planet, and then like shoot this laser beam and then calculate whatever it is, and all of a sudden that's fine. Now, that's seriously that doesn't make that. Why would that be bad? But at this time, I would say just be careful where you are, what you're learning, and who you're with, because you might not go somewhere where you want to go. Mm-hmm. You know, life will kind of just hit you.
Yeah, and I think there's, on the flip side of that, also don't let yourself be so worried either, because like I'm not. Because he makes it sound like...
That's what she's saying.
Just
chill out, bro. Just, like, take the hit, man. And, like, just chill out. Like, life is going to come the way it wants. Just continue what you were saying.
What's meant to be will happen. And I think that all of our awkward moments in life are good periods of time where we learn more about ourselves. So I guess another tip is don't be so worried about what happens, but do keep a watchful eye, you know. Make sure you're not going down a bad path. So don't drop out, even though you want to, because we all did. But that's all we can really say, I guess. Sorry for this awkward episode, but kind of reflects how it felt in sophomore year. Would you agree?
Good night, folks.
Good night.